Hello, dear friends. The next few months are going to be very interesting. As we always say, focus on the reality you desire, not on the obstacles that may appear in your path to the new reality. All eyes are focused on the skirmishes and awkwardness of momentous proportion taking place in other parts of the world. Opinion piece. Religion à la carte. Meaning of I am the way. Money replaced spirituality. Christ means being one with the Absolute. Difference between the human Jesus and the Christ. The I am is the true essence of every being. Early Christians believed in reincarnation. Many religious dogmas are full of misunderstandings. Crisis of belief coexists with the need for spirituality. Let's start. The Spanish bishops expressed their consent years ago about what they call religion à la carte. Apparently, believers have found alternative ways to approach their deepest spiritual convictions. In many cases, the approach avoids going to churches, which are increasingly empty. The bishops consider that they have a problem of competence. Their religious discourse is losing effectiveness in the face of alternative messages. In June 2010, the Bishop of Córdoba, Demetrio Fernández, affirmed that Catholicism is not a religion à la carte, as some Christians claim, because to be Catholic, one would have to accept the Catechism and the Pope, being these two non-negotiable conditions in his opinion. The bishops often refer despairingly to the so-called religion à la carte, understood as the right of all human beings to incorporate into our lives a coherent synthesis rather than a chaotic mixture of all those values and techniques of accesses that we consider most useful, even if they come from the most varied philosophical and spiritual traditions that exist in the world and which are part of the cultural heritage of all humankind. In the course of these last years, a Copernican turn has taken place in the heart of our cultures. The given official God has become strange, foreign, distant, and for many even non-existent God. There is a strong search for an à la carte religion whose ultimate address is often the humankind itself, outside the terrible images of the God of the Judeo-Christian tradition. There is a crisis of beliefs at the same time that there is a need for direct spiritual experience, and there is a thirst for fulfillment, but it does not find channels. Search. Many of us who were educated in Orthodox religion have gone from not believing in anything because there was nothing to believe in, to a search for the meaning of life so as not to go mad and fall into the nihilistic depression of existentialism. We have explored for many years in libraries and bookstores, and we have found some answers. We are still searching because the research lasts until we find what St. John of the Cross called that, the experience of the ineffable that cannot be described with words. Until now, we had also lived an à la carte religion, but the problem was the official menu was a unique menu or ranch, designed by those at the top, the religious and even political power, according to some very earthly interests, while we allowed ourselves to be manipulated like innocent lambs being led to the slaughter, agreeing with millstones instead of assuming our personal sovereignty and making use of the faculties that God has given us, but that many do not use: our intelligence and intuition, our common sense, and our ability to discern truth from lies, and to humbly rectify when we are wrong. In any case, let us reclaim the right to be wrong for ourselves, instead of others being wrong for us. Freedom. Some despairingly call it New Age, but throwing away religious labels and searching in freedom for the meaning of life is something as old as humankind itself, still done by the yogis of India, the lamas of Tibet, the Sufi masters, the American shamans, and even by the Christian desert fathers. Jesus of Nazareth himself didn't seek the truth in the synagogues or from the learned rabbis, but rather sent them away and isolated himself in the solitude of the desert, using the oldest recipe in the world: prayer, fasting, silence, and meditation. For example, the early Christians believed in reincarnation, and this has been proven many times by prodigies, recollection of past lives, speaking fluently foreign languages to which the person was not exposed, or intimate memories of some place he or she has not been in that life. These types of memories are called reminiscence. To orchestrate the religious manipulation of the masses, they falsified the gospel by making us believe that we had to be like sheep, to let ourselves be led by shepherds who were themselves, when the original meaning was that each of us must become our own shepherd. Those lose the fear of freedom and take responsibility for our own destiny. Luther's rebellion took the first step, but then got stuck into another form of conservatism. Fortunately, many citizens of the 21st century have regained their majority, have eliminated the fear of being labeled heretics by the tycoons of the day, and prefer to take the risk of getting it right, getting it wrong, and rectifying it by our own means, without the need to ask for slavish blessings from those who call themselves middlemen, and are too afraid of being out of a job. Conclusions. Like many other human beings, I have come to the conclusion that the absolute father and mother at the same time, the great eagle of the American shamans, the impersonal and eternal Brahman of the Hindus, or the emptiness of Buddhism, whatever we want to call it, has no intermediaries, nor is it affiliated to any specific religion, because its access is free and direct, and it doesn't ask for any sectarian or religious membership card. It doesn't matter the label, because the important thing is the internal and direct personal experience. I also believe that Jesus of Nazareth didn't come to found any religion, because there were already too many religions, sects, and priests in this time, but to convey a message of freedom and independence, to free humankind from its subjection to the interest of clerical and political power. Unfortunately, his followers formed sects, as always, that became caricatures of the greatness of a universal teaching that cannot be enclosed in the four walls of a temple, and that belongs only to those who experience it for themselves. The rest is the usual officially organized lie, which belongs to the manipulation of some scriptures and to the most important swindle that humankind has ever known. They are the true heretics, those who have spent many years condemning to the stake authentic mystics, enlightened and independent spiritual masters, and still haven't had the courage to ask for forgiveness. But no one is going to persecute them, because we are better people than those wolves disguised as lambs. I am the way in quotes. Jesus said, I am the way. What did he mean by a steep bhikkhu? Centuries and centuries of religious wars and persecutions have centered on the claim that Jesus is the only way to God. This conflict is based on Jesus' statement that I am the way, the truth, and the life. What did he mean by that, and what did it come to mean? The Arcturian group states, the I is a circuit word that is God and not ego. When the Master Jesus said, I am the way, he was referring to the deity within everyone and not just himself, a point that has been seriously misunderstood over the centuries. Matthew Watt explains that the Christ is not a person of Jesus, but the supreme power of the universe. In quotes, the man known as Jesus in the Bible would be the first to tell you how wrong the teaching that accepting him as a Lord and Savior as the way to salvation would be, and he would also tell you that believing that is not the same as believing in Christ. Christ is not the name, it means to be one with God. Christ energy or Christ light is the supreme power of the universe and is eternally available to all as the Savior, who can keep you from falling into darkness and committing acts conceited and godly. The Arcturian group expands on the mystical meaning of Jesus, saying, in quote, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Words not spoken simply by and for the Master Jesus, but words spoken by him to explain to those listening that the I is not a personal I, but that the I is the divine, the only I, your true identity. Since the divine is all there is, it must also be your real self. How else could you exist? The I is the name of the divine, and the words I am do not refer to a human being, but to the true essence of every being. It is a sacred word. Throughout time, and even now, there are those who, through ignorance and ego, have misinterpreted this truth to say that they were God in their humankind and not in their essence. In this false sense of themselves, he always proceeds to set rules and teaching for others, with terrible consequences if not obeyed. Their spiritually ignorant followers, more often than not, experience terrible consequences of some kind because they willingly surrender their power in their decision to follow these false prophets. Difference. To explain the difference between Jesus the man and the Christ, they explain this. In quotes, very few at that time were able to grasp the depth of his teaching. The masses had not yet evolved spiritually enough to fully grasp the truths he taught, and instead attributed the truth to him personally, making him a god. The unevolved three-dimensional separation mentality interpreted the words I am as referring only to the messenger and not to the message. Thus began man's worship while missing the message, choosing to ignore the I am as the truth about every humankind. Most simply continue to live in a state of unawakening. This false teaching persists even today in many churches who, under the guise of spirituality, continue to worship the messenger and miss the message. As the Arcturian group explains, Jesus had to express his teachings in parables and quotes due to the censorship of the ruling hierarchy. As he himself said, energetically there was a collective consciousness that was veiled or closed by fear and thoughts of power. At the time I lived, there was a strong hierarchy. That hierarchy kept everything and everyone, rich and poor, powerful and powerless, male and female, separated and in their place. As a result, it had difficulty flowing the energy of the soul, which is one of freedom and creativity. I came to bring innovation, often feeling trapped in the reality of the times. I tell you this because you are going through something very similar now. Misunderstanding. It is ironic that Jesus was put to death because of the misunderstanding of the meaning of these words, as the Arcturian group tells us. The only truth is I am, words for which Master Yeshua was put to death by an awakened society incapable of understanding the true meaning of these sacred words. How remarkable that a single phrase of Jesus should be misunderstood and turn out to be the basis for war and the death of perhaps millions over the centuries. Hopefully, the truth will emerge. No more wars will be fought in the name of Jesus or in the name of any other humankind. Money replaced religion. The invention of the printing press to print money, as well as the Bible, led to the Age of Enlightenment and the fall of the Roman Church. Money replaced religion as the new control mechanism of the wealthy elite. Wealth gives power through the constant creation of money, which was stolen from the hands of the people and given to international bankers. This is the main power against the people. It makes rich gods and poor citizens. Because of this state of affairs, the citizens lost their freedom. For the last 70 to 100 years, there has been close cooperation with Archon Draco for the fulfillment of Agenda 203. Both humans and non-humans have been working very hard behind the scenes to genetically create a new human body form, which can live on Earth in an even more controlled way. The old genetically degraded human body form is no longer suitable for suppressing consciousness at a low frequency level. For when we, humankind, awaken en masse, we are literally and figuratively free from their clutches, in which they have held us for centuries. This was the primary intention of our Creator, but the clique will not let us go so easily, just as Pharaoh would not let his slaves, led by Moses, leave. Finally, the time of abundance and prosperity has come. All dominant powers will dissolve, and competition will cease to exist and give way to cooperation. Resources are available, and even for those countries where they will be launched, it will not be for all people at once. There are important criteria that are taken into account, the most important of which is morality. Old fiat currencies will lose their value. The money known up to now will no longer be of any use. Those who have obtained the money illegally will become the new poor of planet Earth. Nothing will be lost to anyone who possesses resources and even wealth earned within ethics and morals. These resources will be added to the new values that will be made available to all. It also seems fair and reasonable to me that this should be so. No one ever loses what is truly theirs. What is happening had to be shown to the people so they could see for themselves that their future was one of oppression and elimination by these horrible beings. Watch. We don't know anything for Stefan. It's hard to give people something that makes them happy and doesn't hurt them. That is why people don't trust anyone anymore. They agree with everything, but they are secretly upset, so they take out their angers on others. Always the one the media forces to be the bad guy. Everything is already strange and skillfully threatened together. We don't understand the plan. We have no knowledge of how strong and powerful the resistance of the remaining clique is. We don't know if there were problems in the negotiations or why. All this is still dragging on. So, in short, we don't know anything. It also means that we should take anyone who tries to make us to make us think they know something with a grain of salt. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Excuse me. My God. It doesn't matter what the subject is. In the final, the game is played even more unfairly, as we know from many sports. And we are in the finals. That's why, once again, a massive disinformation front is being assembled against us. So, take some time for yourself. Try to get into nature and recharge your batteries. Nothing can stop the coming change, and it cannot continue for much longer, as it is now. The time it takes, I also observe it, and each passing day brings us closer to the goal. Just observe, don't absorb. Alignment. Message from Adama of Telos. The recent spring equinox has provided a massive amount of light energy to help planet Earth, all life on it, to rise higher vibrational frequencies. Each spring, this high amount of photonic light helps provide the life force and reawaken all life from the winter slumber. By getting out into nature, you can benefit from these energies. We invite you to take conscious walks in nature, wherever it is available to you, and absorb the light emanating from every tree, flower, shrub, grass, and animal life. As you walk that path, be still and become aware of the divine grandeur in every living thing. This divine force is also moving through your physical body, and you can use it to awaken to your inner divine consciousness more and more each day. As you become attuned to this divine consciousness, your head can be to feel immense gratitude. You can use this gratitude and this blessed feeling to bring harmony back into your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual body. Feel the harmony, strength, and guidance. This alignment will carry you through your life, experience, and ultimately to your ascension. A simple walk in nature can realign your whole being with God. Try it sometime. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.